Hello, I'm Nobby Clark. Welcome to a chaotic workshop. I've actually started the process of fitting the new three-phase motor to the Myford lathe. My son made a surprise visit to us this morning, and I asked him if he had time just to help me fit the motor to the lathe. That's the only bit that really I needed some help with, because getting the old motor off and the new motor on is not something that I could do on my own. Both motors are very heavy indeed, and it's a very awkward job to do this. I couldn't film any of this process because the camera just would have got in the way while we were doing it. We had to swing the lathe right out from the wall and window here to be able to get behind the lathe to fit it. But obviously what I will do is show you how I'm going to fit the control panel to the front. Let me just move behind the camera for a moment. You can probably see the slight chaos I'm in at the moment. I had to move literally almost everything to the back of the workshop while we did this. My big sort of table here had to be moved out the way, and lots of other bits and pieces. My compressors up the side there, and I don't know if you can see it right over the back there was the little cabinet which normally sits below the working end of the lathe, and we've got on the top of the bench here, we've got tools here and here all over the place. A variety of spanners, a socket set, Allen keys and all sorts to do the job, but we got it done. It did actually take a little bit longer than they say in the instruction book, but doesn't matter. We took it easily and got the motor put on. You're not going to be able to see this very easily because I had to have my son help me get the lathe back into position, because the whole thing is very, very heavy indeed. But now it's settled back in its normal position. I've leveled it all up so that it's completely parallel here to the wall at the back. I've measured that out so that everything is squared up, and it's back as far as it will go to give me as much room in front of it as I need. You can just about see the nice brand new earth wire here, and the motor just about fitted in. I was a bit worried that the motor might have been a bit longer than the original one, but all fits in quite nicely. Once I'd got the motor in position, we obviously had to adjust it so that I could get the right belt tension. Let me just move the camera again. So to give me a good range for the new motor, I can leave the belt here in the normal position I used it in. It is here for normal operation, which is on the, if you like, the faster position of the pulleys here between the spindle of the lathe and the counter shaft. And I've got if I can move the camera around a bit more, you can probably just about see that I've got the belt which runs from the motor down here up to the counter shaft in the higher position. So on testing this out, we quickly tested it, connecting up the control panel to it just to make sure everything was functioning fine, which it is. So in these positions, and with the clutch in the on position, the instructions say you can use the clutch if you want to, but because you've got full control of everything from the control panel, and you can switch the motor on and off as often as you like without doing any damage to the motor. The clutch can be left here all the time, which is what I'm going to do. So leave these belts where they are, and the range I've got, we tested this with my, if I can move that over here, with my tachometer, which I've not quite completed yet because I still haven't received the little 9-volt power adapter for it, but that hopefully will turn up in a day or two, and I can fit that up. And this is obviously going to be important to have this, because the speed settings on the control unit don't relate exactly to the actual running speed of the motor. I think the range of the on the control panel goes up to something like 1800 revolutions, but using what I've got here, its range now is something like 220 up to 2600. Well, I'm never going to be using it quite at the top end, but obviously it's there and available if required. Nice thing is that the motor, at the sort of speed I'm normally working at, it's a lot quieter, very much quieter than it was before. The motor over the years seems to have got noisier, and it does vibrate the lathe quite a lot. The vibration is minimal now. I will at some point in the future, when I film something actually using the lathe on the motor, or perhaps towards the end of this whole, once I've got the control panel fixed up, I can run that so you can, well, if you can even hear it, the noise the motor's actually making now. So now I've got the lathe back in position again. Obviously a bit of a major tidy up in the workshop, but the next job will be removing the old Dewhurst switch and putting the control panel on the front of the lathe. So I'll just show you that bit as well. But as I mentioned, I've got to remove the Dewhurst switch, which I'm going to do next. And to fit the control panel, obviously there was no room to fit it out here onto this part, because the overhang here of the chip tray, which I've got to have pulled out so it will catch a lot of the chips falling down here. But what I've made up are a couple of brackets. These were salvaged from an older computer desk, and I've already drilled some holes in here already to take 5mm screws. The one that goes on the top, you see I've cut a part out here so that I can mount it up as high as possible. Obviously the leg comes up at an angle, and then this is sort of square, so that will mount on here, and that will, I can adjust that so I can get it up as high as possible, so that the control panel is as near to the top side of the lathe as possible. And this one obviously will be mounted down towards the bottom. I think these are certainly going to be strong enough, because the control panel itself has holes in it just for 4mm screws, so they obviously know that that's going to be more strong enough basically to hold the weight of the control unit, obviously from their experience there. What I've also made is this plate, because I think I might have mentioned before that my worry is any oil escaping from under here. In here is all the gearing and the change gears. So I've already drilled and tapped a couple of holes here, and this plate will mount, a bit awkward this, will mount on here like that. So it will stop any oil from dropping from here down onto the top of the control panel, which obviously is going to sit along here, and also deflect hopefully any metal chips coming off the lathe itself, which doesn't seem to happen too much. I do notice sometimes chips landing on this part here, but I think that's going to help. But my main worry is not letting any oil drop onto the the panel itself and sort of seep inside the electronics. So that's basically how I'm going to fit it. I sort of hope that all works out okay. I probably won't bother to film actually fitting it, because although in theory it's quite a simple job to do, it will probably take me quite a long time to do that. But obviously what I'll do is I'll bring you back when that's actually fitted, just to show you in position. So I'm very happy that all this is going sort of very, very well. Very, very pleased with the progress basically that my son and I made this morning. If I move this along a bit and back, there's the old motor. So that's will be, I'll pack that away. Whether that will find a use for something else, I don't know in the future. I'll probably just keep that boxed up, just in case. Sort of pack that away. All the things I've ever done to the lathe, I suppose primarily putting the clutch on it. Obviously, I kept all the parts sort of left over, if you like, from doing that. So every little piece that I had on the lathe, which is not in use now, I've kept in a box. So if in the future that the lathe does pass into new hands, all those bits can be given to a new owner, I guess, in the future. So there we are. The old motor has any value, because I said it may be just that it's an old capacitor type motor that it's just very, very noisy. I'm going to leave everything wired up. I'm not going to undo any of the wires on it, so that the control wire here that goes to the back of the Dewhurst switch and the mains cord as well are still attached, because they are sort of very, very complicated things to wire up. So I'll leave it at this juncture at the moment, and I'll sort of bring you back for any other sort of little bits and pieces that I do. I won't do any filming of me tidying up. That's going to be a very laborious task. So I'll just close this bit off for the moment and tag on some bits of the end of the video of the motor control unit in position. Well, what I'm doing now is fitting the two brackets onto the leg of the machine. The top and the bottom bracket will be sort of down here, further down. What I've done is I've levelled this up as best as I possibly can. I don't think the leg actually is that perfectly straight. So I've used a spirit level on here as a comparison to the ways of the lathe as well, and then just held the control panel against this to get it as level as I possibly can, and also just in a way trying to sort of line it up by sight as well. So I think that when the panel is on, it's going to be okay. The panel here will go level with the top of that. It will be right over here, and visually it looks okay. I mean, if it's a fraction out, it's not really gonna hurt anything, I don't think. So I think that's gonna be fine. So having put one screw in here, that's holding it now nicely in position. Obviously I used a clamp to start with to hold it in place. Then I'm going to use a transfer punch to put a mark on the leg here where the other screws got to go. So just pop that in there, and give that a few healthy taps to give me the position for the screw. So I can take this one off now. And put the other screw hole in. Unfortunately I scratched my paint here a bit, but it's going to be covered up by the back plate of the control panel anyway, so that's not going to matter at all. So there we are. I did try filing a bit of the weld off here just to make sure it holds nice and flat into position, and I think that's going to be okay. Also I'll do a bit of a clean up round here, make sure it's all nice and clean as I install it. I'm having to use a mains operated drill here because the steel in here is actually quite tough, so I think, you know, possibly best to use a nice sort of powerful drill to drill the hole in here. Just going to use a centre drill as well to get that in, and we're into our little mark here. Which is very, very tough going. Just wondering if there's some weld behind that. I don't know. I think I'm going to use a slightly larger centre drill actually. Just go and find one. Let's give this one a try. Let's try the drill. I've gone for the strongest drill I've got, which is a cable drill, so I hope that's going to do it. Put some cutting paste on that drill as well, see if that helps a bit. It's making no impression on that at all, so I think possibly the problem I've got is that there's some weld behind that, so I'm going to have to sort of try and find a sort of a different way of doing it, so I'll have to pause the video just for a bit. Right, the new plan was to drill a hole in a different place here, so that these two side by side. It's either there's weld behind it. The other thing it might be, I don't really know, don't know an awful lot about welding, is whether the weld had sort of like work hardened the metal itself. I've not got that hole perfectly in alignment, but if it aligns with the plate I'm putting here, that's going to be okay. So let's see if this will go through this one now. Yes, it did. Thank goodness. Okay, so now I've got to tap the 5mm hole in here, and although this material is only very, very thin, I'm going to use my little tap guide to try and get the hole nice and square as well. always hit these difficulties, don't you, with what you think is going to be a nice easy job to do, then sort of turns out to be quite difficult in the end. But never mind, let's set the tap out. Okay, a little bit clean up. Just hope that we're further down. I'm hoping it's going to be okay, because there are no welds sort of further down the leg here, so hopefully everything's going to be okay. So I can put that little screw in there. Find myself a suitable washer to put on it, and hopefully these will both line up okay. Looks as though they probably will. So another screw, another washer, and hope this one will also line up. Which does appear to. So that all looks okay. So hopefully that's going to be strong enough to hold that in place. Just torque those down a bit more. That's going to do it. It looks okay. So now the control panel is going to fit right over here, this edge level with the top, and it looks okay. I'm sure that's going to be all right. So what I've got to do now is put the bottom one on. I won't bother to film that particular one, but I'll bring you back when I've got it sort of a little bit more completed. Well, here I've got both the brackets fitted, and I've levelled them up as best I possibly can. Where I'm putting the little plate that I mentioned over the top here, which will be here, I've had to reposition the holes and make a little cut out here, because I obviously didn't mark that quite correctly the first time, and I'll need to adjust this angle here so that that will sit flat in position and clear the bottom of the guard here. So I've marked out the top panel, the top bracket first. So I've marked out the two positions here, and I've spot drilled both ends. I've already drilled that one out for the tapping size for the 4mm thread, so I've got to drill this one through as well, which is not as easy as it looks, because there's quite a bit of overhang here, but let's see how we get on. So that's gone through, and now I can tap the 4mm thread. Let's see which one of these is suitable. Just make sure I get it in straight. Take this very gently because the material is, as you can see, is quite thin. So I want to make sure that I don't damage the thread in any way. And the same this end. So I've got a thread in each end, and now what I can do is attach the control panel with the top positions, and then mark out the bottom. Just try and deburr that a bit. Okay, let's see if I can get the panel on without too much trouble. It's one of those jobs where you could do with several several pairs of hands to do this, but let's see how I get on. Actually, those screw. These holes are actually very tight. I think I'm going to just open those up a bit more. Bear with me a moment. I've opened those holes up, which they definitely were not 4mm. It's only going by what it said in the instruction leaflet. But they are now. Good job they leave you enough room either side of these little control knobs here to enable you to get the screws in. It's in position good enough so I can now mark out the positions for the holes at the bottom. So I'll bring you back for that part. Well, that's it. I didn't keep you around for drilling and tapping the bottom holes or putting the screws in, because you wouldn't have been able to see what I was doing anyway. So panel is now fitted. I think it's going to be an ideal position as well. It puts the top deck here at a slight angle, so it's going to be very, very easy to get to all the controls, and it's going to be sort of well clear of the side here, and isn't going to interfere with the chip tray which slides in here. I would have given us a bit of a wipe over, get all my horrible dirty fingerprints off it. So it's all looking very, very nice indeed. The inspection, you can see that the inspection plate at the side here, there's sort of dates and things on it. So we're sort of virtually ready to go. And all I've got to do now is adjust this little panel. I've got to change the angle of this just very slightly so that will fit in there. It's sort of tilted a bit too far forward at the moment, so I've just got to adjust that out so that will fit nicely in there. And clear this lip here, and hopefully that will be enough to stop any sort of oil drips sort of dropping down onto the panel itself, and give it a little bit of protection. So that's it really, all basically sorted. What I'll do is I'll sort of finish everything off, and then perhaps bring you back just to show it running, and just show well, sort of basically what the controls on it do. Well, there we are. I've got the control unit fitted onto the two brackets. Brackets did get a little bit bent here because I really tightened the little screws in here as firmly as I could to make sure that the bracket's not going to move, and it does all seem like really solid. And I've readjusted this little plate here to hopefully protect it from any oil that seeps under the gap between the cover of the gearbox for the change gears here. So I'm hoping that's going to work and possibly help to stop any chips from landing on the top. But I just have to monitor that all the time, and what I'll probably do is cover this over when it's not in use, just to protect it further. I'll try and sort of reposition the camera if I can a bit. Okay, well, you can hopefully there see the control unit and the lathe chuck. If I move that a bit along so you can see the speeds. Try and do that without the chuck hitting it. And what I'm sort of hoping is that you may be able to hear the sound of the motor as well. But I've got the speed control here set to its sort of lowest position, which on the dial here is 200, and I've released the emergency stop and turn that on, and at 200 on here it's showing 211, 212 on the display here. I'm still having to run it from a little 9-volt battery because I still haven't received the little power adapter yet. But anyway, not to worry. So that the speeds, I'll turn that up. That's at 400 on the dial. Still very quiet, and on the display 440. At 600 here, it's showing 737. But it's certainly making a lot less noise than it did with the old motor, and I'm not getting any signs at this speed of any vibration in the machine at all. There is a sort of a little bit of a residual noise when you turn the running speed even higher. If I turned it up to 800, and now that's showing 1037 on the dial. Probably won't be using it at much more than that, but there's a bit of a knock now. But things that the lathe is, well, the workshop has a wooden floor, so I do expect to get a bit of noise through the floor anyway. But even at this speed, it's quite manageable. And certainly running the old motor at a speed like this, the noise that I was getting from the belts and the cover over the main drive belt from the motor vibrated a lot. And in fact, at one stage, if I sort that up, at one stage the cover here, I had to tape that closed to stop this from vibrating badly, but obviously I've not got that problem now. So for the sort of normal work I'm doing, and I don't think there's going to be any problem there at all. And on reading the instructions, you can literally switch the machine off, and then you don't have to adjust the speed, build the speed up or anything. It will restart at the speed you had it set at. So there we are running again back at that same speed. And apparently you can switch the unit on and off as much as you like. So there's no worries there apparently of damaging anything in the control unit or damaging anything in the motor itself. No worries there at all. Another function the unit has, it has a jog mode as well, and in jog mode you can just spin the motor. Either it will run, or you've got your finger on the green button, or you can just jog that round. So this apparently could be used for power tapping as well, which is going to be useful. I've never power tapped on the lathe or the milling machine, but that may be something I can have an experiment with at some time. So I'm really happy with this. It's absolutely amazing, and certainly where I'm normally working at about 650 or so RPM for a lot of the work I do, it's going to be a lot quieter here in the workshop as well, a lot more manageable. And I've easily got the option of turning it up to a higher running speed, where originally I would have had to have changed the thing it's called the primary belt, the main belt under here, to the other position. Now, the way I've got it set at the moment is I've got the belt in here at its highest running position, and I've got the primary belt here in its high position as well. So I can just leave it like that all the time. The clutch doesn't need to be used anymore. Apparently you can use the clutch if you want to, but really there's no point, because you can switch the motor on or off as often as you like. So this is just going to remain in that position. I thought it may have been possible to have unscrewed this lever here, but it seems to be, I think, either welded in or brazed in. I'm not sure. I might just try it again, and if I could take that out, then that can just stay where it is, and I've not got this sticking out, although that's not a problem. So I'm no worries about that at all. So there we are, very, very pleased. Something I never ever thought I would have in well, not a million years, because I won't be around then. But it's really a lovely thing to have. I'm so pleased and I'm so grateful that this was given to me for the workshop. It's absolutely wonderful. So when I get the little power adapter for the tachometer, I'm going to mount that on the splash panel at the sort of back of the lathe, so it will be easy to see. And of course it's going to be an important thing to use, because once you go so far up on the speed control, the numbers on the speed control don't relate at all to the actual running speed of the lathe. But that's no problem, it's just really a matter of adjusting this until I see the speed that I want to work at on the tachometer. So that's it from me. The job is all done now, so I'm ready for the next project. I have to make sure the next project needs to be done on the lathe so I can use this for real. It's taken me, well, it has taken me 2 days to fit this on, not two days in hours. So, but my son and I spent probably an hour and a half or so fitting the motor, and it wasn't really as easy as you think it's going to be from looking at the instructions. I think saying that you could fit all of this on in 20 minutes is not really correct. And I spent a lot of time fitting the control unit on here as well, to make sure I got everything exactly right. And it takes a little bit more time for me, sort of, working on my own in the workshop. And I had a few breaks, because although the weather as the temperature has dropped a bit, it is actually still very, very warm in the workshop. So this proved to be quite a hot job to do. But anyway, thanks very, very much for joining me in the workshop. Many thanks out there to David Ticehurst out there in Adelaide in Australia, and hopefully you'll see the lathe and its new 3-phase motor being used quite a bit in the future. So I'll say cheerio for now, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.